welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be talking about simply why you feel empty when you have everything. You know, maybe you get a new car, you have all those fancy luxury items, all the food in the world, nice bed, you know, maybe you live only in hotels or fancy places like mansions. But like when you have all those things, like does it really fulfill your heart? Do you feel like you have self-love? Do you feel God, you know, within your heart? Like, does that really fulfill you? Like at the end of the day, you get all those things, but then what do you want? You want more, right? You're just gonna end up wanting more. You enjoy maybe for like a little bit, you know, temporarily, you feel pretty good, but then even like temporarily, let's say you arrive at a nice hotel, you drive a nice car, it's like a short-lived experience. And then after you're like, okay, that was it, you know, it was cool, you know, maybe you can enjoy it again another day, you know, have another ride. But it's like a short-lived experience that's temporary in the flesh, that doesn't actually fulfill you or give you any growth or anything like that, right? So when you're thinking about that, when God comes into your heart and life, God gives you that feeling of like your heart is filled with so much love and joy and like peace, right? Inner peace. Where else can you gain that feeling of like not having that void in yourself? Even regardless of circumstance you find yourself in, you still have that like inner peace, joy, and, you know, positivity, and your heart is constantly filled with that like love from God. And where else can you find that? Can you find that in like some item? No. It's like temporarily makes you maybe slightly outwardly happier, perhaps a little bit on the inside, but it's like you can smile like, okay, this is cool, right? But like then afterwards you're like, I still feel really empty, right? So it's like, this is kind of like what I'm talking about when I talk about this emptiness. And it's like that, you know, I notice this when I do things myself sometimes. Like I have an experience, I'm like, okay, this is cool, and I think, okay, this is gonna last for 2 hours, but you know, it was a cool experience, but I'm like, this is still a fleeting temporary experience. It doesn't really matter what experience it is. I'm just like, the only thing that really fills my heart at the end of the day, I know this, is like God, right? Like, I just feel good because God is with me, right? And I'm worshiping God and I'm praying to God and, you know, spending time with God. That's like the only thing that really keeps me like in a state of like inner peace, joy, and like in that feeling like I'm living a meaningful life. Even these like temporary activities feel good just because God is with me, right? In my heart. And that feels really good because of that. But like that temporary fleeting experience wouldn't really feel that great without God. It's like you can feel like this fleshly comfort, you could say like enjoyment, fleshly enjoyment. It's definitely a thing for sure, you know. That's why people do promiscuous things and they revel in the flesh and they eat too much and get fat and etc. Right? These are the kind of temporary stuff people do outwardly. But like when it comes to this, like think about it, like do these things like feel good after? No, it's usually bad, right? It leads to some kind of a bad outcome. And that's kind of like, God can only fill your heart with that like joy and fill that void. I used to feel that void for years. I was always wondering like, well, how can I fill this void in my heart? And then I found God, and it was like, as soon as I connected with God properly, I started feeling this void in my heart start getting more filled and filled. And then I just felt like amazing every day. At one point, like, it was like, I would say it was really in like June, July for me, with my walk in faith. I started feeling like really good. Like that voice started completely getting filled, and I was trying to feel that self-love and joy and inner peace, and, you know, God just filling my heart, and, you know, understanding more of God and my life, and having a meaning to my life, and enjoying everything I do in this flesh even more, even though it's temporary, but just being able to enjoy everything more. But all that enjoyment comes from just God. It's not because of like doing that temporary fleeting experience in this flesh. It's just because God is giving me that joy that allows me to also enjoy things I'm doing in this world. And you never forget that once you get it and your void is filled. You never forget the fact that God is the only thing that's like actually fulfilling in this life. And you notice everything around you is like, even though you're having sometimes fun and you're having nice experiences, it's like these are not really the things that are like the reason I'm feeling good. It's because of God. And that's kind of what I wanted to contrast in this video, really. This is pretty much just talking about me, and, you know, my related experience, as well as like the emptiness versus God filling your heart, and really contrasting like deeply on how it matters and how the effect is, like how it feels. And it just feels, that's basically how it feels. It feels really good. And if you're wondering why you're feeling so empty all the time, and you have this like void in your heart, and you feel this darkness in your heart, it's because there's no God in your life. And God is meant to be in our lives. We're created beings, and we belong to God at the end of the day. And if you don't belong to God, you belong to Satan. And it's that simple, pretty much. So that's why you need to seek God if you want to get into the light. You know, some people don't want to, they just want to revenge the flesh. But the reality is that we should be with God. And we should follow God and worship God and pray to God and spend time with God. And to gain God in our lives, because that's really what gives us our true meaning. Because we are God's creation, and that's how it's always been. We just kind of lost that somewhere along the way. A lot of people, you know, we came here to be incarnated and to remember that we are God's created beings and we belong with God, and how we're meant to live this existence. I hope this video helps you understand the emptiness that you feel and why you might feel lost in this world. You know, I used to feel that too, and I hope this video resonates with you and helps you get out of the darkness and get on the right track. Whoever happens to be watching, maybe this is motivation for you also with your journey and so on. There's always a way. God bless. If you'd like to donate, in the description, 101's in the description as well, if you'd like to book a call. Thank you for watching. Amen.